Hey everyone, welcome to Nurse Talk. I'm Mike,
And I'm Chris.
and today we are doing a recap on our thoughts on the crazy opening of Gamescom, what they call Opening Night Live. Jeff Keighley hosted and went through a whole bunch of games. There was a little bit in the pre-show. There was a lot in the main show. It was about 2 hours. We're not going to go through the day by day because there's just way too much coverage for that. So we thought we'd just go over the Opening Night Live, the discussion, the announcements, our thoughts on any of the specific games, and then obviously we'd love to hear from you and your thoughts. So let's get right into it. So Opening Night Live. Whew, crazy.
It was a long one. I mean, it was jam-packed for sure. Lots of good announcements, world premieres, which is typical for these kind of shows.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it was well-paced. And what were your thoughts overall from that show?
I thought it was pretty good. I did feel like there was a certain point in the main show that it kind of dragged on. I was waiting for some new announcements, and with COVID and with everyone's digital and stuff like that, there wasn't as many big surprises. Nintendo wasn't part of it at all, which they have been traditionally. Actually, that's a lie. They're usually in the Game Awards. They weren't. They're not always in Gamescom, but there's usually some announcements around that time frame, and there wasn't anything. Nintendo's surprisingly been absent. They had a mini direct earlier this week, but that was it. Again, partner showcase. Nothing. No official Nintendo Direct this year at all, which is shocking.
Yeah. Now, I believe they said that there might be more before the end of the year in their announcement, but I would have liked to see like another date announced at the end just so people can have something prepared or ready, but maybe they're not even sure when they might be popping it up. It might be a surprise direct or something with a couple of days notice. Like
That's right.
Doing lately.
That's right. So let's get into the Opening Night Live stuff, and then we can talk about any other news surrounding this week. So the pre-show started off. They talked about Scarlet Nexus as the first game. It was exclusive to Xbox One and Xbox Series X. Interesting game. Not really speaking to me per se, but
yeah, I felt the same. It looked interesting, but nothing I would probably maybe play it if it was kind of in front of me. But yeah.
Yeah, they jumped into Quantum Error. It's a horror space game. Again, not my thing, but
we're not horror guys.
That's it. So going by Team Fortzilla built a car by gamers for gamers. It looked really awesome. I was kind of waiting for is this put in a game? And then he says this is going to start production in the real world. So I'm like, oh, this was a game, a car they designed for the game. But what game was it? Is the game Team Fortzilla? I don't know. I didn't understand.
Yeah, I'm not. They're kind of all over the place with it. Left it open, so I wasn't sure if it's type game or anything like that, but
it looked cool.
Definitely looked interesting, but I'd like to know more about it and get kind of a gameplay or see what it's actually about.
Yeah, absolutely. Then they jumped into Dirt 5, new racing game. Again, not my style. If it's not Mario Kart, I'm not super interested.
Yeah, and a lot of those games are kind of similar to one another, like Gran Turismo, Dirt, all those kind of games. Kind of, there's only so much you can do with racing games, I guess, but it's definitely one of those ones that have been around for a while, and here's the next version of it, so we'll see how it does.
Absolutely.
I mean, this guy's fan base as well. So.
Yep. And then the last announcement was just basically talking about Jurassic World Evolution, which is a game that's been out for a couple of years, is finally making its way to Switch. It will be the complete edition, and it comes out November 3rd. That's how they ended that segment. And then they jumped right into the main thing. They passed it over to Jeff. He started off introducing Call of Duty Cold War, which is the first direct sequel to the first Black Ops.
That's right. So there's some familiar names and characters, and it looks very interesting. And they showed a gameplay of it, which was I enjoyed. So the story seems like it's going to be really interesting. Mm-hmm. The gameplay is always great for Call of Duty, so it's a huge franchise. I think this one's going to sell a lot.
I think so, because a lot of people like the original Black Ops, just like the original Modern Warfare did awesome.
That's right.
So they redid that. Why not make a sequel to another great
entry? And people wanted this direct sequel for a while, so now they finally have that continuation of the stories and the characters that they played.
Yes, and they showed this brand new IP called Unknown 9 Awakening. That one actually I was interested in. Kind of gave me a Zelda-style vibe with these environmental puzzles and this colorful open world kind of aesthetic to it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't make a note of what consoles it comes out on. I think it's on everything, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, everything next gen. I don't think it's coming to the Switch, but it looked pretty interesting.
Yeah,
remember that one?
Yeah, there's so many that it's hard to remember everyone, but I remember that one being like, okay, it's not too bad, but not quite it didn't look like anything my style.
Yep. Then they jumped into Doom Eternal, a campaign expansion called The Ancient Gods Part 1, which is due out October 20, 2020. So
2020. So that looked really interesting. I mean, back in the day when I was playing on computer, on my friend's computer, we were rocking Doom like no tomorrow, and to see it continue on and expand and evolve the way it has, it's been fantastic. So obviously they're going to make more parts of this since it's part one. But the trailer looks really good and interesting.
Yeah, great to bring more campaign and story to the game itself, and not just multiplayer maps and stuff like that. So that's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Then there was some discussion around a new Dragon Age game. It told the team talking about the world, return to the world, but they didn't have a title or anything like that. So we know Bioware's working on the next Dragon Age game, whatever that's going to be. Is it an MMO? We don't know. But yeah, new Dragon Age game, so that's great. Bioware always does great RPGs. Love the Star Wars stuff. I tried the first Dragon Age, got a little bit into it, didn't have the time to finish it, and then I kind of skipped through. I didn't really complete Mass Effect, unfortunately. I know it's really great games. I haven't had a chance to go through them all, but it's on my backlog to do.
Yeah, it seemed like they were talking a lot about the characters and how you either love them or hate them or whatever it may be, and then so they're trying to get into the background, and there was a lot of talking in this trailer with the developers and the artists and all those people. So they're obviously early in development, I would say, and I mean it was interesting, but I think they're just trying to get something out to get the name out there.
Absolutely, and then we had a nice surprise cameo from Back to the Future's Doc Hammond.
I don't want to say Doc. Oh my goodness.
Throwing a blank here.
I know.
But basically, yeah.
Back to the Future. Christopher Lloyd.
Yes, and he was there, so I'm like, oh, Back to the Future game with like the flames and stuff. I'm like, oh, let's go. And then it was like, oh, Surgeon Simulator 2. I'm like, oh, it's out now. It's out today. Okay, that's a nice shadow drop surprise announcement, but why him to do it? It just seemed weird because he's a doctor. He kind of made a joke of him being a doctor, but
yeah, and like an acquaintance of him as a surgeon in this game. But I found it really weird to have that cameo in there for this game.
Yeah,
I think it threw a lot of people off, and it seemed like he was trying to get excited, but like you could tell he was being paid to do this. Unfortunately, he wasn't really into it.
Yeah,
like later on when we talked about another game, someone else seemed a little more into it for his cameo.
Absolutely. Then they jumped in to Bridge Constructor, the Walking Dead version.
Yeah, so that was weird. At first, I thought it was Napoleon Dynamite doing that cameo.
I know, eh?
Right? So I'm like, oh, another cameo. But it ended up not being him.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was an old version of Napoleon Dynamite. But I'm a little confused about the gameplay for that one. So
you build bridges. So this game has been around in different iterations. There's been different versions. I remember PlayStation 3, there was a launch title, indie title that was elephants making bridges, and then it just grew up, and there's a bunch of Bridge Constructor games. There's one that was based on the Universal Portal. We had to build bridges and stuff like that. And now this is just Walking Dead, and now it's about zombies and the load of the zombies and building the bridges and stuff. Just a new fun way of
more of that game. Like if you get something as big as Walking Dead attached to your game, it's obviously going to make it a bigger opportunity. But so I mean it is what it is, but definitely I don't think I would play that game, but it was interesting to see where they were going with it.
Yeah, a lot more IPs kind of making their way into these licenses making their way into games or well-known games that are established and kind of giving you different spin-offs or expansions. Yeah. So the fans are go nuts, right? If you love the Bridge Constructor games and say, oh well, I like Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, you just married two great things together.
Then they talked about 7 Max, a new game in the series is coming out. 7 Max are coming back. Never played them. I think they were big on PC back in the day, but
yeah, I've never touched that game before, so I'm not too familiar with it.
Okay, then they did World of Warcraft Shadowlands, and they did like a nice cartoon intro to it, which I was pretty impressed in.
I was really interested in that trailer, and the story caught me just from that trailer about the light and becoming a different entity to transport the dead souls to their final resting place. So and then how it turned, how the teacher found something and then she turned it as well. So I love it. I know a lot of people that are into WoW.
I thought it was a spin-off game. I didn't think it was just an expansion for WoW. And with the cartoon and everything, I'm like, oh, this is going to be action adventure. This is going to be pure action. What is it? No, it's just an expansion. It's just a nice, giving you a huge, interesting storyline narrative to draw you in and want to play the game to kind of find out what happens.
Yeah, I have a buddy who's really trying to get me into it, and this did not help. I've been fighting it, and it's not helping my urge to fight it.
Yeah, especially when you know like you have so much content to catch up on and kind of get through. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
October 27th was the release date for that. Then they jumped into Warhammer Stormground. Yeah, that was the next game that came out. I never played any Warhammer. I believe it's a real-time strategy game. I could be wrong, like StarCraft, but I could be wrong.
I believe you're correct. Yeah, I never got into that either.
Yeah, and then they went into Crash 4. It's about time. With the big announcement was flashback tapes.
Yeah, that seemed a little interesting. It supposedly is super hard. In order to unlock it, you have to get to that point without dying.
Yeah.
To throw back to past games. But yeah, it's a little extra added feature for the game, which is going to have a huge fan base, and people are really looking forward to playing this next iteration of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just a nice little added value that they could throw out there for the show.
Absolutely. Then they jumped ahead to Outriders Holiday 2020. I don't recall too much about this particular game. I remember being interested in it. I was like, what is this game called? And then the title came up. I can't remember what it was about, but it definitely looked interesting to me at the time. Yeah, that's all I can say about that specific one.
I'm drawing a blank on that one as well, unfortunately.
And then went into Captain Tsubasa, which is out August 28th. It's a soccer anime style game.
Oh, yeah.
My notes there.
Yeah, that looks interesting.
So that's out as of this recording. And then they went into Necromunda, Under Hive Wars. They're talking about these three classes, red, yellow, and blue. They were like the crazy like all women tribe.
Yeah.
There was the crazy blue tribe, which is like really fast and lethal, and then the big Goliath, the big red. Yeah,
the red guys were huge and wanted to smash anything smaller than them and things like that. So it seems like kind of rock, paper, scissors, depending on who you're matching up against. But it seems like a strategy game where you have a little bit of luck and a little bit of strategy involved in it.
Yep. I love the twisting on like regular genres and trying to make them new, make them fresh. It's good way to do that. It looked interesting visually.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's my style of game, but I'll have to keep an eye on that one. Then they talk about Teardown. It's a heist style game with complete interactive environments, where basically the whole thing was like
VR, right? That was VR where you kind of go.
Is that the one that was in VR? Where you can like break walls and make paths and then heist, and you gotta.
And then you gotta do the heist to break all the alarms.
Yes.
Going
and go make paths
and then make it to the boat and get out. So it seems kind of different. Lots of different tools. It'll be an interesting VR game for sure to get that experience. It was interesting. The tools that you had look very like 8-bit, super like Nintendo kind of graphics, pixelated. Yep. But further out, kind of looks more realistic, and so I'm not sure how they how that will do. If you get close to something, will it be more pixelated? But from far, it looks real. So it looks a bit different and interesting as well.
Absolutely. Then they jumped into another horror game, Little Nightmares 2, which looks like it has co-op, 2 players, but you can also play singly. It's due out February 11th, 2021 on current gen. That's PS4, Xbox One, One X, and I believe the Switch. I think the first one was on the Switch. I believe this is the Switch. Could be wrong. And then it said later in the year 2021 on the next gen, which is PS5 and Xbox Series X. So, okay. For the fans of Little Nightmares, the sequel's coming out. Great, more of that.
Yeah.
Then they jumped into WWE 2K Battlegrounds.
So that's the one where they had the other cameo of the guy that does the commentating and Jerry the King Lawler. He seemed into it. He seemed really like, I mean, that's his life and that's his style and everything. It's a little bit different than Christopher Lloyd, who's an actor, but known for Back to the Future and other titles. This guy, this is his lifestyle, so he's very into it. I mean, very cool. It has the legends, the new age people that you can battle together. Very arcadey.
Yeah, it brings more of the old school mixed with the new school. Interesting art style, probably to keep the performance running as best as possible on the Switch. But you're a wrestling fan, it's probably one to pick up. I would assume. Yeah. It looked interesting for wrestling.
Oh, definitely. I think it's gonna have. I mean, there's a huge wrestling fan base, new and old. Yeah. So having that old legends there, that will draw the older crowd in. The new guys will draw the newer age, younger kids in. So I think it'll do very well, and having that kind of different game style than what it's always been in the past, where it's like the 2K, WWE 2K, or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
it's more realistic and stuff like that. This one's more wacky, big moves. You can get on fire, I guess, and do all these different stuff.
Absolutely. So the next few games really caught probably both of our interests. So they jumped into Star Wars Squadrons. We got to see some of like the story and like kind of like how it works and the missions. We saw more of Hera. He was there, right? You saw her in the orange and green. I'm like, that's definitely Hera.
Actually talking to you, giving commands,
giving the missions
like
and stuff. I'm like, makes sense.
Leia talking. In there.
And again, playing both sides, good character. You're doing missions for both sides. So I was wondering. I'm like, well, is it going to be like how you play affects the rest of the game? And clearly not. They're turning a narrative. But it would be cool if it's like, you're playing on the Dark, you're playing on the Empire. Okay, I'm going to purposely fail the mission, so the rebels are going to do better in the next mission.
Yeah,
but you have to be successful in order to get the ultimate, clash between your characters. I guess somehow they're gonna. I mean, you can't play both your characters at the same time, but I kind of feel like they're gonna have some sort of destiny of the meeting, and then you're gonna have to decide which way to go. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I mean, it's very interesting where you start off playing as both. You get the feeling for both. You get to do each shift times. I think it's 5 on each.
I think they said a total of 8 shifts.
8 shifts on each?
Unless it was 4 on each.
Oh, maybe.
Which would make more sense.
Yeah, so you get to master each side and feel the differences, the strategies, and things like that. And plus, you get the story from both sides after episode 6. So it's pretty interesting game type and story. So I'm very intrigued to see how it goes.
Absolutely. October 2nd.
Yeah.
Very
I think we both have that pre-order.
Yes, we do. Good to go.
We're ready for that for sure.
Absolutely. So really excited for that one. I enjoyed the dogfights and stuff in Battlefront.
Yeah.
I really hope that they expand upon it and make it a little bit easier to do some of the maneuvers you need to do. I felt like there were just some players, I don't know if they had special sticks or keyboard and mouse or what they were doing. They were able to do these maneuvers that I couldn't emulate, or I wasn't able to lock on while I'm barrel rolling and dodging. And, they're always able to hit me no matter how I dodged or barrel rolled. But then, it would be 50-50 whether I could hit them or not. I don't know. You're just some skill level that either was, input, like keyboard and mouse, or it was something else I was missing from that game. So I'm hoping this game, it sounds like it'll give you every bit of the ability to do whatever.
Yeah, and it seems like everything is customizable as well. So if you're better at one point, then you can kind of compensate it with other things by upgrading. So I'm definitely, this is a game. It's flying. So it should be 100 times better than what the flying, the feeling of flying in Battlefront is. I mean, it's the same group making it, the same kind of technology and stuff like that, but if they're really focusing on it, then it should be much better than what they experienced.
And they did confirm the whole game is in VR. Yeah. If you want to play it in VR, and I'm like, I so want to play it in VR.
I just need to know what the next gen for VR is, if there is one.
Well, we do know that PS5 will be backwards compatible with the current PlayStation VR.
Okay.
So that is for sure there. That's been announced. But that to me leads credence that they're still making VR. They probably will have a 2.0. They probably just want to, hey, invest in it now, buy it now, it'll work right away. You don't have to buy the biggest next one. But then in maybe 2-3 years after launch of PS5, PSVR 2 will come out with better graphics, probably on par with Oculus is my guess, because everyone already invested in the PS5. Yeah. Now they have the crazy hardware. Let's up the visuals and give you a better VR experience at a budget price, but way better than the first version, and can kind of give you all the experiences that are on Oculus at this point. Yeah. So I'm in. I think that I want to get the PSVR. I want to play this right now in VR, but at the same time, if they are going to come up with a sequel, I want to get the better version, right? So it's tough. Where do you spend the money?
Exactly.
Then they dived into Sims 4 expansion, Journey to Batuu.
That looks very cool.
Looks very cool.
I have not played Sims in a long, long time, and I never owned it, but I would play it once in a while at people's houses. I never really got into it, but this is a Sims that I can get into.
And it was like Disney World.
It was Disney World.
Like Batuu.
100%.
Yes.
We were there not too long ago in February, and it brought back so many memories of these places, this shop, and this cantina and everything. And all these things. It's like, oh man, this is very, very cool. And you're can eat with Hondo and everything. It's I don't know.
Yeah, September 8th, 2020. Yeah. So, very, very soon.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm gonna keep an eye out. It probably won't be day one, but if it goes on sale for super cheap down the line,
I'm pretty sure it's on EA Play. So if you have the subscription, you have that access. I'm waiting for it to eventually make its way to Xbox Game Pass and try it out that way. But
I think it's something our kids and us playing as well and customizing and having that experience of our own, but so that's something I'll keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And then 12 Minutes, Annapurna Interactive finally came back. We saw this game years ago at E3, then it came back We saw it again during like I don't know if it was an indie video or it was Game Awards or something, but we saw it again and we were like, yeah, we definitely want to see this game.
I've been itching for it, and then they announced 3
Yes,
names.
They're putting budget behind it. They realize that this is a great game. People want this game. Let's get some big actors behind it. Let's make the story even better. Make sure that story is going to hit at all levels.
Yeah.
And it definitely seems like it already grabbed us. From the little bit that we saw. And I'm like, everything seems to be taking place in that apartment. The majority of what they're showing, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's stuff that that's just stage 1, and then the story breaks up into another place. And you get more of what's going on.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to find out. But even if it all takes place in this apartment, I'm very interested to find out what's going on.
Yeah, because it was William Dafoe, Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, William Dafoe, I remember, and I can't remember the last one, but yeah, it was 3 big names.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
There's another one. I want to say Colin Farrell, but I don't think it was. But I was just like, oh my goodness, unreal. The stuff that they announced.
Yeah.
You can continue.
Yeah, they said that they redid it because the voices were completely different. So like, we got big name actors. They really want to stand behind this game. I'm like, let's do it. Like I'm in. Can't wait for this to launch. I didn't see a release date or even a year.
I didn't see it either.
I'm assuming it's next gen at this point.
Yeah. But it looks very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that a lot.
While you're looking that up, the next one was Godfall. Again, got to see a little bit more of the Godfall gameplay. They didn't show any in the next couple classes. The previous video on the PlayStation 5 announcement stream, they showed the single sword and the dual sword classes, and I was hooked. I was like, oh, I'm interested in this game. I was hoping that they'd show a new class. They did not, but they didn't talk about Godfall. It is still coming next gen. So yeah, I'm excited for that. We'll kind of see what that turns out to be.
James McAvoy was the other one.
That's the one, yes.
James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and William Dafoe.
That's it. It's huge.
So, yeah, nice. Huge name. Unreal.
So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that turns out. And then we've got Warframe: Heart of Deimos. Interesting again. I actually thought when it kind of went from Godfall into Warframe, I kind of thought it was a little bit more Godfall. I was like, oh wait, this is a different game.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on this one.
I'm pretty sure it's a expansion on the original Warframe, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Override 2, Super Mech League by Moda Studios. And I'm trying to remember how this one worked. It was very interesting, this one too, but I'm drawing a blank. This is what happens, man. There's so many games over the last few days.
And they're just like back to back, and it's just like, oh crap.
We got a remake of a game, I believe it was 2003. Mafia Definitive Edition.
Yeah.
Next gen graphics, HD, great. I mean, the last Mafia game I played was Godfather on the Wii. Just because of the motion control. I love the idea of like being able to grab a guy with them remotes and throwing them around and aiming and shooting. And it's like, that was my best version of Godfather. I didn't play it on the PlayStation or the Xbox. I wanted to play it on the Wii. And I remember getting pretty far. I don't remember beating it, but that Grand Theft Auto style in the Mafia I thought was awesome. Definitely. And it's Godfather, right? It's the classic characters you get from the movie. And then this is basically traditional Mafia. And so
getting into the families, doing the activities that they partake in.
Looks like a good time.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely looks something like fun mix between Godfather and Grand Theft Auto and that kind of gameplay type. So it'll be very interesting.
This open world timepiece style game, it looks great. Kind of going back in time, it's we need more of that stuff. Everything's all futuristic and all this kind of thing. It's great to kind of have these
flowing kind of thing. You can pick the missions.
Yep. We had a game called Lemnos Gate. I'm trying to blank on this one. But that was a new announcement, and then they jumped into Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which has now been delayed till spring of 2021.
Yeah, because I thought it was already released. Because I was seeing, I thought I saw already released, but maybe pre-sale. But yeah, so look great. It has the last 2 chapters of
They have voice acting. The original games did not. It was one of the last few Lego games that just had the grunts and groans and the comedy. And this one, we saw lines from the movie, Luke and stuff like that, and obviously some other voice actors doing the lines for Mace and stuff. But they have voice acting. Now, I don't know if the whole game has voice acting or just the newer chapters do. And the original, they left, traditional, or if they added the voice for all of it.
It looked like some of the parts were from before. So it might be like clips that they've added, like little scenes that they've added in between. But yeah, it looked. It looks great.
I
Lego games
laughed out
are
loud.
always
Darth
great.
Sidious with the lightning, and he's through this real lightning. It's so
yes.
cool.
So,
Like
the Legos done very well on making it comedy for all ages.
Yes.
So as an adult you want to play it, and as a kid you want to play it. So it's got that wide range, and everyone loves the Lego, and they make it so funny and so they poke fun at themselves and the movie. So it's great that way.
So I'm going to circle back to this one. So we said spring 2021. I'll have more to talk about that in a bit, but we'll come back to that. So this game called Struggling on the Switch and Steam. It's out now. And it looks like this game where you are guessing controlling the hands and like how you momentum and swinging and grabbing on things and kind of getting through this.
Yeah, like looks like you're a blob with 2 hands or whatever maybe.
Mutant of some sort, yeah.
Yeah. And so it seems like a mix of a puzzle-based, side-scrolling kind of game.
Yep, talked about you will struggle. It's gonna be very, very difficult because of the crazy physics and like how you have to get momentum, and sometimes it might take you 20 times to get through that one part just to die later and have to do it again.
Yeah.
But it also feels like it could be a bunch of laughs.
Oh yeah. Like it seems silly and wacky, and it's a little bit different looking mutant, and yeah, it's pretty cool that way.
Yep, we have Age of Empires, the definitive edition, October 13th. They added 2 new classes, the Swedes and the other one right now, but yeah, it's coming out October 13th, and I loved Age of Empires 2. I got a lot of mods. I did a lot of like downloading and changing the game around, unlocking characters, and just had a blast with that game. So coming back to that, getting a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I never played those games, but I have heard of it before and seen gameplays and trailers and heard people talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually gotten very good reviews overall. So yeah, it's something. I don't think it's my type of game, but it's definitely
It's like Command and Conquer. I played a bunch of that. I love to get back into it, and this again, just nostalgia. Wanting to get back and play some of that a little bit again. Not get through all of it, but just like get in, do some missions. Like I remember how fun this was. Then they jumped into their horror game, The Dark Pictures, Little Hope. I actually saw some extra gameplay footage for this the next day. Of them actually playing through it, and it was like 2 players. You're taking control of different characters, and they're in different parts of the world, and then eventually you come together.
Okay. And
you're discovering like clues and mysteries and trying to piece together this stuff. And there definitely are some jump scares. There definitely are some creepy stuff, but it's very interesting in like how you're playing separately, and then the decisions you make can help or hinder your progress in the game and stuff like that.
Talking about that, where you can either help or hinder the other person.
Yeah, like there's this one part where this one guy was outside trying to get into this I don't know, this warehouse or whatever, and so he's talking to the girl, and he's like, here, toss me your phone. She throws it up, and he misses the button prompt and drops the phone, and so it cracks the screen. So she's all upset about it, and now you got to go through the building without the phone, so you don't have a flashlight, and so then he trips and falls in a hole because he couldn't see it. So this all changes to kind of where you progress. Yeah. Vice versa, the other people are at a precinct. They eventually make their way to the warehouse, and then they kind of combine. And it's very, very interesting gameplay. I'm not a horror fan, but it definitely made me want to like know more about the story and what's going on and what's the situation here. I'll have to keep my eyes off this. Maybe watch a Let's Play of someone else playing it.
Yeah, exactly.
With the lights on.
No surround sound, all that stuff off. Yeah, no, it definitely looks cool how you can play it as 2, and then you can either work together or against each other, but eventually you come together.
Yeah. We have Project Cars game, racing game.
I mean, it caught my eye because I'm a fan of IndyCar racing, and there's not a lot that have that actual feature in or races. So they do have that small mod where you can race those vehicles and cars. So it did kind of catch my eye. I don't think that actual mod is until 2021, but it's interesting. There's a lot of different cars you can drive and different circuits and things like that. So that's the only reason why I caught my interest. But typical racing game, I put it all in those racing games kind of together. It's almost equal, maybe some a little bit more than others. It all depends what you like.
Absolutely. And then we had Chorus Rises 1 make appearance again. I can't remember if this was at the PlayStation or the Xbox event. They were showcasing games. It was a third-party game, I believe. Although if it was at PlayStation, it would be, PlayStation first or whatever. But this kind of made a come back up again, I believe it. But yeah, it was interesting. Then they jumped into Fall Guys Season 2. Fall Guys blew up since it came out. It's like the next fortnight. Like everyone's playing it. It's a blast. I have it. I haven't jumped into it yet online. It looks like, again, a fun party game. Great to have a bunch of friends over and have a blast with it. I don't know if it does split screen or you each have to have your own console, but it looks very fun. And now they announced season 2 with more games, and more changes and stuff. So I mean, good for them.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's I'm always late to these games where they blow up and everything like that. Like Fortnite, I never got into, and now Fall Guys. Just I keep hearing about it and hearing about it, and I'm like, okay, one day I'll play it, and now they're already into the second game. Yeah, it's just unreal.
Absolutely. And then they talked about Wasteland 3. Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, like Colorado, like I guess the daughter's trying to take over her brother. Like her brothers have been groomed for it, but like she doesn't feel that they're ready. So definitely an interesting kind of game.
Building up bases and stuff like that, and
yeah. So I'm not sure if it's quite my style, but it definitely looked interesting from the trailer and the gameplay.
Yep. Then they jumped into Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, a VR game for Oculus. So it's 100% VR. It's on Oculus. It is not, traditional Medal of Honor where you're playing on consoles. You have to play it in VR. It looks interesting for a, timepiece.
Yes.
I like VR games. I like that idea of like being able to play that way. But, Medal of Honor has ever been an IP that I've been super into. I was more into Call of Duty, Halo, things like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, those games definitely were above many people. So it's good for them to try and get into the VR, genre and try and push that as one of the first ones to be in there for that type of game. We'll see how they do.
Yep. Next one was Spellbreak, the Battle Royale Mages. Battle Mages is what they called it. Yeah. It's going to be free to or play for free, and say free to play for free. Maybe starting September 3rd. Maybe it'll change to some sort of. Hey, you played for a month now. You have to pay to continue. I don't know.
Yeah, or it'd be like Fortnite where you have to pay to upgrade that.
Yeah, like but that. I'm like, yeah, let's do like get rid of the guns. Now you're doing magic, and the magic is varied, so it's not just like throwing fireballs and you're shooting. It's like spells that give you higher jumps and blow people away and give you shields and just the different abilities. Are you gonna go with like fire and ice? Can you have all of them? Or are you limited to 2? I definitely want to give this game a try, and the fact that it's free, I think I'm definitely going to jump in and give it a go.
Yeah, it seemed very interesting. It seemed like every mage had a certain elemental type. I don't believe I saw any with multiples, but it kind of showed each one hitting the other. Like everyone was hit at one point at the same time, so it showed kind of the weakness: the fire against the ice against all these things. So it was quite interesting to see that in the trailer. Very interesting.
Absolutely. And then they talked about Turrican, bringing like an old game back with like better graphics. It was famous for its graphical style and its music at the time.
Yes.
And bringing it back.
Was huge and
I don't know if it's my style of game, but it looked pretty. I like the art style of it. I like the direction it was going. I just don't know if it's my style of game, my genre. But good for them. Like it looks good. I think it's gonna blow up.
Yeah, I think it. I agree with you 100%. I think it's gonna blow up, and there's a lot of people looking forward to this.
All right, so the next big one, you're gonna have to talk about it because I don't have much info on it. Destiny 2 Beyond Light talked about stasis.
Yeah.
So what's that?
So it's another. It kind of looks like ice, essentially.
Yeah, but is it like a new class, like the hunter?
Yeah. So each class, so the warlock, the hunter, and the titan will each have this ability.
This is a new. Is it like a new tree?
Yeah, it's like a new.
Okay.
Yeah, so a new elemental ability that each one has, and it looks like a high damage kind of move that they show gameplay where they freeze a bunch of ads and then they blow up, and then like the PvP is a one hit kind of thing for them. So it's definitely interesting. I know they had a couple state of plays for them or like gameplay and talking about the future of Destiny. So it'll be very interesting. This is their first kind of away from Bungie going into their own thing. So yeah, I am intrigued to see. I haven't pre-ordered it yet. I've been back and forth a few times. But I think I might wait because it was pushed back a couple months due to COVID. I might wait to see what the results are. I don't want to recycle and repeat all these games over and over again and try and broaden my horizon. But it's something that's always been close to my heart, Destiny, and I've played for many years. So it's kind of hard to give it up. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
but it's definitely nice that they're adding like another class that you can work into and use and switch it up.
Yeah, So Anthem was my thing. Like I jumped in Anthem, I did Destiny, I loved it. I'm like, okay, this is more of that, but now you're like Iron Man,
Oh yeah,
all these
like
different
flying
javelins. I'm like,
around.
I'm
And
in.
the graphics were amazing,
And then it just
ability.
it just didn't have as much content. And we're like, okay, more's coming, and I'm still waiting for like the big like. Apparently EA is putting money into them
They're
to try to
still
fix the
trying to-
game.
yeah.
It is Bioware. The story seemed interesting to me, and I wanted to go more in that world. I just haven't installed it and jump back in until I'm waiting for it to come out and like, here's the big expansion and it's free and we're doing this and this and that, and I'm waiting and hoping because I really enjoy that game.
Same here. I very much enjoyed it. There's some glitches, obviously, that they weren't prepared for.
Mhm.
When they tried to fix it, it got worse, unfortunately. So they lost a lot of people quickly. Yeah, and it caused issues with systems supposedly, and crashing them. And so, and they've been talking about for like a couple of, like since it released, pretty much they've been talking about improving it, putting money into it. And at this point, I think they're just going to wait till the next gen so that they can try and work off of a better system and try and fix it that way.
For those who have invested in it, are we getting a free upgrade? For those who already bought it, I hope so.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like if I'm not buying the next generation,
It's backwards compatible won't matter, but
yeah, even if I'm not buying a PS5 or the next Xbox, what am I going to do with my game?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they fix this, what kind of money they're putting into it, what kind of development. You know, they keep talking about it, and then they went silent for a long time. They took, you know, even their webpage was kind of like offline for a little while, and then it was silent. And then every so often they keep saying that they're going to fix it.
yeah, it's interesting. I really hope that they get their act together. But like you said,
It was a great game when you at the beginning.
I enjoyed it.
Like they had a lot at the beginning, and then it was repetitive at the end where they needed more.
Yeah, absolutely. And the closing was with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. But basically, we saw this trailer done during the PS5 reveal, and then this time they actually played through it to show like, oh, this is pure gameplay. This isn't like, I mean, that was done. It was edited and it was a lot quicker. But they're like, we're gonna play through the game,
Yeah.
and it basically looked like you were watching the trailer again. But it was like I playing it. All the load times were instant. No issues, no hiccups. Everything seemed to be smooth, and they did officially say that there will be no load times for the whole game.
Yeah, which that's a big claim.
Like from start the game, hit X, it just characters popped up, and it wasn't like, okay, load the game. Nope, you just started playing immediately, and it was like, and then from then to the end of the demo, jumping through rifts, different worlds, moving around, it just was seamless. And I was like, that's what we expect. That's what we were hoping for. Load times are going to disappear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a big claim to have. But if they're confident enough to claim that, I would assume, because they're going to get a huge backlash if that doesn't, pan through. But I have a good feeling that they've obviously run the stress test, run all the all the things that they need to, and are comfortable to say that claim.
The game is done now. I'm positive it's done. In fact, they talk about this. When is it releasing? Like launch window. Yeah. They didn't say dates, and it's because they're waiting for PlayStation to announce. So when PlayStation announces, they'll be like, okay, it's coming out first week or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah, they're very.
It's going to be a launch title
on that.
Yeah,
it's like they were constantly saying just launch.
Yes, and I mean they try to talk about that. It's going to take advantage of the haptics of the controller. If PlayStation wants to have a game that's going to show off their console, this is bright and beautiful. The instant load times, it's there. The controller, the haptic, all the different guns and weapons and how that works, it's there.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is their showcase piece.
They're talking about the double shotgun where you can push it a bit. You get resistance, you get the one shot. If you're a bigger boss, you can pull it all the way and get the double shot.
Or pull it once, pull it twice to get two different shots. It's like, I'm like, that's awesome. Like this game is showing off what it's about. This is definitely a launch title. So I think that's awesome. We're still waiting for them to announce. I think that's what they're saying. We're just waiting for
pretty much. We're like, we're not going to spill a beans before our bread and butter.
Yeah. So that was it. That was the end of the opening night live. There was lots of other game announcements, so we're not going to go over them in this video. But yeah, I mean, overall, well done. Games again, a little bit of stuff for everyone.
Definitely wide range of variety for everyone. Some were a little too long, I think. May have been able to shorten it a little bit, but overall, good speed. Good information for each game. I would say, and definitely some interesting titles that I think we're both looking forward to. Some the same, some different. So a good mix.
Absolutely. Jumping back to the spring release. So this week, there's been more rumors and more people backing up these supposed rumors of a Switch Pro coming out.
Okay.
The rumors are that, it's been talked about years ago. Nintendo's making 2 new consoles, and the Lite came out, and then the rebranding of the original one with a better battery life, which basically was a better CPU that gave it better battery life, came out, and so everyone's like, oh, those are the 2 consoles. And there's no plans of launching a Pro or a stronger console this year, but these have resurfaced. If there is being something worked on, there is going to be a Switch Pro or a stronger, better quality Switch. They talked about, the details have come out that it'll be a better screen first and foremost. Okay. So better graphics. Does that mean 4K? Does that mean 1080 in handheld mode? We don't know. 60 frames per second guaranteed. We don't know. But better graphics and new, better ways to interact. So I'm thinking better Joy-Cons, maybe in order to again, other rumors were Skyward Sword HD. There's remastering rumors of that, and people are like, well, how are you going to play that without the motion plus? Yeah. If there's new ways to control it, that could be talking about that specific rumor and that making that a reality. We also knew, Breath of the Wild 2, there was a leak of supposedly the collector's edition in December of this year. If, what I think Nintendo's going to do is have it come out the same launch time as their first game, which is in March or beginning of next year. The Switch Pro, they did say would not be coming out this year. There's no, we're not making a new system. It's not coming out this year. The rumor is it's due to come out in Q1 of next year. It would make sense for it to come out with the new Breath of the Wild 2, have a stellar smash out next year. Sell the new system. It's going to run better. I mean, Breath of the Wild 1 ran on the original Switch, had some hiccups, had some issues with frame rate in the forest and some other areas. But, this new Switch could solve that problem, especially if they're going back and doing more with it. Yeah. Switch Pro plays best on Switch Pro. It still work on the original one, but your best experience is on Switch Pro. Sell the system, sell the game, and then coming back, Star Wars Skywalker Saga is coming out in spring of next year. Perfect system to launch it on would be Switch. Kids are all over playing Switch. Portable, on the go, Lego, the whole saga, all the Lego collectibles. You can play multiplayer. It's a perfect place on Switch. There's been a lot of issues with Lego games running on Switch as it is. Even Lego City Underground, which is a remake from the Wii U, was having performance issues. And a lot of people were saying playing older games that ran fine on Xbox and PS4 were chugging and having hiccups on Switch. This could be another reason why it's being delayed, to make sure it's ready for the Switch Pro. Runs better, you get the better experience. It'll come out to next gen. Obviously, it'll come out in current gen, probably PS4 and Xbox One. But I think that also solidifies some sort of my guess that it'll be coming out early next year, March timeframe, a new Switch, Breath of the Wild 2, and some other games to jump on there.
That was very interesting.
Crazy prediction. But
yeah. I mean, Nintendo needs to do something a little bit bigger, like something like the Switch Pro. Yeah, they definitely need it. It's time for it. I think they can do it. I want to say quite easily. I think they have the ability and technology and skill set to do this, and it would help all their games, both present and in the future. And it will help them keep. I know they're a different type of gaming system altogether from the PlayStations and the Xbox. They don't kind of compete with them head on like Xbox and PlayStation do. They have their own niche, which is great. But I think this will keep them in line and as important as the other two, and as a big name to stay up there. So, I mean, I'm all for that. I would love for it to happen. I think it's needed for sure as well. So, yeah, I mean,
it would provide a lot more third-party support. They've been getting a lot for the Switch, but we see a lot of ports like Witcher 3 really downgraded graphically. Yeah. It looks like garbage compared to the other ones. We knew that it's not powerful enough to give you the same experience as last gen, but the game should be able to run on it, and they've proven that with Skyrim, and they've proven that with Witcher, that you can get Dark Souls, like these older games that everyone loved, on the Switch portably. They've been selling well for that purpose, not graphically wise, but I just want to play this on the go.
Yeah, wherever I am, traveling with it.
Yeah, and if they go with a Pro version with better graphics, it may not be 4K support, but 1080p 60 guaranteed, then they can get better graphics, like upgrade these Witcher 3 to have something semi-decent, and then this is the best way to play it. Yeah. You can get something that looks comparable or close to,
especially with
maybe
the smaller
PS4.
Screen, you get the better graphics on a smaller screen. It's easier to get that look.
Yeah. For sure. I think it's a great way for them to get more of these games, more of these third parties to put their games on it, get more sales for their system, and more sales for the third parties, which are supporting it.
Which also would make sense for them being quiet here until they have something where they can actually announce and lead up to it and get people excited for that launch.
Absolutely. So I'm excited for it. I mean, I don't think Nintendo wants to jump into a Switch 2 yet. I think that, the more Switches that they can sell, the more people that are invested in this, the more games are going to sell, because we can see over time, the games like Breath of the Wild sales are still going. Mario Odyssey sales are still going. Animal Crossing is now the number 2, I think is beating Pokemon in terms of massive worldwide sales, like only second to Mario Kart. So they have a hit system on there. There's lots of time to develop games for this system. Give it a boost in power to kind of keep you going, but don't announce a new system that's going to isolate your fan base and say, okay, the new Zelda, you have to have the new system. If you have it, it's going to be better for you, but it'll work across the board. Like I seem to think that's the best way to go. Yeah. They go with a Switch upgrade right now with a Pro, and then in 3 years, they announce Switch 2.0. All the games still work on it, but then, there will be new games that are exclusive, and you just get people to slowly bump up. You're still selling stuff. It's still branded the Switch, and away you go. And I think that's the way to do it.
And that's a good life cycle for that system. Yeah. I agree. I would love to see that happen. It's been long rumored, but for it to finally be announced, I hope they get to announce it.
Absolutely. So, overall, that was our impressions. We're really excited for the games that are coming. There's so many games coming, even with COVID. Nintendo is going to have a lot of stuff coming out. They just haven't announced it yet. I'm assuming they want to firm updates, maybe get devs more time to get caught up so they can say, here's our direct. Everything we're announcing is coming out on these dates. We're going to hold it to it. We're far enough ahead. Or maybe they want to have a few more surprise shadow drops and things that's out now, like the new Smash characters. We'd expect it to come in a direct. Where is that direct happening? It's got to be coming soon. Yeah. September, I think, has to be the month because they need to announce what's coming for Christmas, what's coming this fall. They want to have crazy sales. The rumors are Mario 35th anniversary. Is that still happening?
Yeah, there's lots of IPs and things that they could go into. Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, Mario Anniversary Edition. There's lots of things that they could do that would make it huge.
Yeah, they can't compete hardware-wise with the big guys, which are coming this holiday. Yeah. But they also need to be on top of mind. They can't be completely forgot about.
But not everyone can afford these new gen as well.
Correct.
Especially parents with kids. The kids don't need the new gen. They like the Switch anyways. That's all they have, or whatever it may be. They're not dropping $600-$700 on a new gen. Mm-hmm. They can buy a couple games for Christmas for the kid, and they'll love it. They can put it in their stocking to wrap it up, or whatever it may be. That's one half of the stocking. But wrap it up, have it as one of their big gifts, and the kids super happy to have a brand new game, and it doesn't break the bank for the most part for the parents. It's not cheap, but it's much cheaper than a new generation system.
Absolutely. So I think the future of gaming is exciting. If they do announce it and release this new hardware next year, again, it's out of the spotlight of the new console. The new console's launched, let's say October, November. It's been 2, 3 months. 2, 3, 4 months until the next year. We're in February. They announce it for a March. They're far enough away that it's like, okay, now this is the big thing. Everyone's on their minds. It's like, I already have a PS5 or an Xbox, or I'm saving up for one.
People that are getting it are going to get it.
This, get the new Zelda. Bam. They did a smart launching the Switch in March as it was. Do the next one in the next March and own that springtime.
Yeah.
All the big games are coming out.
Not a lot of big games come out that time. Yeah. And Nintendo is notoriously known for taking that slot so that they're heard and seen, not overshadowed.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I'm excited. Let's see what happens. Let's hope it happens very soon. But what do you folks think? That's our thoughts on Opening Night Live, what we're excited about, what we're interested in. If you'd like to support us, click the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. Drop a comment below. We love to hear from you. Definitely. What was your most exciting announcement specifically from Opening Night Live? We might do a video potentially later discussing the other days, or might we just do an overall game news at that point in time. But let us know. We love to hear from you. And as always, friends, stay nerdy.